Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel this morning. Thank you guys for coming along. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, so today we're going to get into Liverpool a bit more. We're going to focus a bit more on the three players with the contract expiring, which I think everyone focuses on, but I did want to discuss it because it's gone a bit quiet lately, and Liverpool have had a bit of a, I want to call it a fall off this week. I guess it's a bit of a fall off. Going out of the Champions League that they did, and then kind of capitulated in the Carabao Cup final. It's not really an ideal week for them at all, and I've seen a lot of rumours about players leaving now and the turnover of players potentially they could see this summer. I've seen moves for Diego Jota, linking him back with a move to Wolves. Apparently he's touted as potentially leaving. You've got Luis Diaz, who's getting linked to Barcelona again and Saudi. Darwin Núñez looks like he's going to be leaving this summer as well. There's quite a few. I've seen something about Konate potentially being sold as well. Apparently they've slapped a £50 million price tag on him, which I wouldn't understand at all because they bought him for that around that price, I'm pretty sure. So in a season that's gone really well for them, it actually seems like there could be a bit of change, a bit of turmoil going on there especially next season, which just seems really odd when you think about it. Because obviously when Slot came in, it was very much keep what's working and we'll tweak it a little bit. And now it seems like, we might be going through some wholesale changes, and maybe Slot's earned that trust from the board with the performance of the season and how they've stormed the league basically. But it just seems very odd to have all these rumours circulating around your players when you've already got your three best players out of contract in the summer. Like, surely you wanna, if anything, we should be hearing about, these players want to stay, they're going to sign new deals, blah blah blah. But it's very hush hush on all fronts right now at Liverpool. We've not heard anything about the contracts situations with their top three players. I'm pretty sure Konate's only got a year left as well now. When it hits this summer, he's got a year left. So maybe that's why Liverpool are looking to get 50 mil for him. Yeah, it's all gone very quiet. Salah's not said anything lately, and I think that's partially going to be to do with his form. Potentially, obviously, he's not got the power if he's not performing. And then Van Dijk's come out recently and said, "Look, if anyone tells you about my contract situation, they're lying. There's nothing going on." So he's basically said there's been an offer, but there's been no work done since, basically, to try and keep him at the club. So it's quite interesting what might happen, because it looks like I'm seeing Van Dijk linked with PSG quite heavily, and I feel like that move will happen. It makes sense for both the player, for PSG, not for Liverpool, but I can definitely see that one happening personally. Salah looks like, if he doesn't pick up his form, I think he's got no chance of contract, to be honest. Because he wasn't getting the money he wanted when he was performing. So when he's not performing, he's definitely not going to be getting it. And then Trent. Sorry guys, bit of a late night with the baby. Trent, yes. Obviously he's injured now, and there's two sides to that then, because Trent being injured means that he can't perform at a higher level to demand the contract, even though they know how good he is, sort of thing, you know what I mean? But the flip side of that is that it shows what Liverpool would be like without Trent. Obviously they've got no Conor Bradley at the moment either, but if we're going off what we saw against Newcastle, it's not a pretty picture without Trent. When I did my review of that game, I mentioned about how Liverpool tried to play out the back and they had to completely change it basically from what they normally do. Partially because of Newcastle press it, partially because they had no Trent. They had no option on that right hand side trying to play out. They couldn't just have Clem clip it down the line for Salah. And if anything, it made it potentially, you could say that having no Trent in the team weakened Salah. So then you look at next season and you go, well, if we haven't got Trent, what's the point of keeping Salah? If he's going to weaken him and you're not going to have someone that comes in for him. Which, if you're trying to be kind, if you're trying to be kind to Liverpool, like the ownership, maybe you could say, yeah, fair enough. But then on the flip side, you just say, look, just sign them both up then. I think it looks like all three of them will go now. You know, they've only got, what, 2.5 months? April, May, June, then become a free agent on the 1st of July. So, okay, technically you've got 3 months, but no one really does contract negotiations in June. So I don't think they're going to be doing that. And it's going to be a weird summer this summer because of the Club World Cup. We don't know how much activity there's going to be going into that. I'm pretty sure they're allowed to add additional players to their squads from transfers to the Club World Cup. But anyway, it's not really relevant. It just looks like all three of them might end up going. Salah, I don't know where he goes. Van Dijk will end up at one of Bayern Munich or PSG. Those are the two clubs heavily linked with him right now. I think Liverpool are stupid to let him go, to be honest. But I think of all three of those players, I think Van Dijk should be top of the list now, to be honest. After watching them play him in weeks, they are so reliant on him at the back. And the thing is, the level from Van Dijk to other defenders at the moment is just crazy. So if you want to get someone who's even close to Van Dijk, you're going to be paying nearly 100 million for him. With Salah, it's tricky. He's obviously been unreal this season, but maybe Slot looks at it and goes, we're too over-reliant on Salah. If he goes, maybe we can build more of a balanced attack. You know, maybe they can go out and get another left winger and another right winger, and then they'll be a bit more battle, or maybe a striker or something. You know, maybe he wants his goals to come from the striker now. That's all I can think maybe is going on with Salah, because they are so reliant on it, and it shows now when they've gone out to PSG and lost to Newcastle, and Salah's been nullified in both games. It shows how reliant they are on him. And they haven't really got a plan B when it comes to Salah being nullified, because their plan B is normally just a different style of play. It's not to free up Salah, you know what I mean? It's not to get someone else a goal. It's just, yeah, they haven't really figured out how to play without Salah this season. It gives vibes of the first season of Salah under Jurgen Klopp, where obviously you got like 44 goals or something like that in all comps, I think it was, and they were unreal. But when it came to crunch time in the Champions League final, when Salah got injured, you just went, oh, well, they're not winning the game. And you kind of get that feeling if it doesn't happen for Salah in the game, Liverpool aren't going to do anything. It's like Erling Haaland at Man City, and especially last season. If you keep him quiet, you keep City quiet. That's what it felt like. And yeah, so maybe they look at it and go, look, we can save ourselves however many million it is. It'll be what? If he wants 400k a week, it's going to be it's going to be a lot of money. Let's just say that it's going to be like 25 mil a year. So let's say it was 25 mil a year. Obviously, if it's a 3-year deal he wants, which I don't get me wrong, 6 months ago I probably said, or even 2-3 months ago I said, yeah, give him it. But because it's been so quiet, I think Liverpool's logic is literally, it doesn't work for our long-term plans. And while I don't necessarily agree, we're going to play ball with it and see what happens. So it's 25 mil a year, and it's for 3 years, so 75 mil you would lay out for Salah. Okay, so that gives you 75 mil realistically, you could say, for a player. Van Dijk is probably another top earner. He's probably on about, I don't know, if I was going to venture a guess, be between 250 and 300 maybe. And Trent's probably on 200, 250. That'd be my guess as well. I'm just putting out guesses here. So let's say between them you've got about 75, 50. You've probably got about 180 mil maybe, potentially in contracts. Like after they've been signed and agreed how long they'd be. About 180 mil there. Which, when you think of it, is they look at it and go, maybe we can get better value elsewhere. But the issue is, two of them argue the best. All three of them argue the best players in their position. Whether they will be next season is probably what we'll look at. But let's say Salah does go, who do Liverpool go and get? Right. I think once upon a time last season, Kudus was the one that I think I was looking at for them. I think they could go get him. He looks quite tasty for them on that right wing. And I still think if they want him, they'll get him, because he doesn't play on the right for West Ham, which I think is his best position because Jarrod Bowen's there. Could they go and get Jarrod Bowen? I don't think so. I think he's pretty happy at West Ham. He's captain now. But he might go. I just don't think that he would get that move, unfortunately for him. Even though I think he's actually a very good player, and watching him live makes you appreciate him a bit more. I think when you watch him on TV and just in general, you think he's quite out like an average Premier League player. He's a very quick player as well. He's very quick and he's very technical. So Bowen would work, but I just don't see that deal happening. You look abroad, potentially looking at like Kubo maybe from Sociedad. They could test the waters for Rafinha at Barcelona. I've heard Rodrigo potentially to City. You could look at him if you really wanted to. But there isn't a breadth of right wingers who are world class right wingers at the moment who are actually attainable for Liverpool. I think I've named Rafinha as probably the most attainable one, but who knows if he's attainable this season with how he's played. The only reason I say it's attainable is because it's Barcelona, and they always, if you give them money, they'll take it. The only one who probably isn't attainable Barcelona is Lamine Yamal. Everyone else, I feel like, has a price that they would sell for. So yeah, I think definitely Rafinha would be attainable for them, but I just don't think they'll have the outlay for that. Potentially they go a bit cheaper, like I said, and they go for like a Kudus, maybe costs 60, 70 mil, probably around the 60 mark. But then they go heavy on like an Alexander Isak, because we've been seeing that rumour circling and getting a bit more momentum now, which kind of worries me as an Arsenal fan, because if he's going to go somewhere, I think we have to rival them for him. Whether or not we get him, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he was a boyhood Arsenal fan, so we should have some sort of advantage there. And the other advantage that we could have is if they do let Van Dijk, Salah and Trent go, we could just say to them, look, they've let their three best players go. We've got all our guys tied down to long-term deals. Who is going to be in a better position in 3-4 years' time? That's just what I think they would say. I don't necessarily think that's going to be true, but if you you look at it on paper, that's definitely potentially. But yeah, Isak is definitely one that probably they could do if they wanted to. Sorry. I haven't really seen many other rumours for them with forwards. Whether or not maybe they trust Harvey Elliott to maybe step up in Salah's absence a bit more on that right hand side. Maybe. He has looked good recently. It looks like he's starting to kick on a bit more. And he will need some more minutes at some point, you know. But it's just, there's a lot of turmoil with the club at the moment. Conor Bradley, I think he'll be an adequate replacement for Trent. You'll notice the difference, but I think he's still good enough to play Premier League football week in, week out for a top club. The only issue I have with Conor Bradley is his fitness. He's been injured for a lot of this season, and he's not maintained any sort of fitness really throughout the season. So that'd be a bit of a worry for me if I was a Liverpool fan for next season. Then the big one's Van Dijk for me, because if you're going to replace Van Dijk, you're going to spend 60-70 mil on a centre-half. Unless you're going to pull out like Poison from Bournemouth, potentially you could do that one. But whether or not you can actually get him, because we're seeing Real Madrid are linked with him. There's a lot of big clubs linked to him for I think 50 mil. That would be, if I was Liverpool, that's the one I'd be going after if I'm going to replace Van Dijk. Not that he replaces Van Dijk straight away. It will take him a good few years to even fill out physically, to even try and replace him. But that's the one I would be looking at if I'm Liverpool. I think he's definitely the most gettable one, the most attainable player. But like I said, whether or not they can actually get him, different question. And then after that, you look at centre halves around the world. Araujo's just signed a new deal with Barcelona, so he'd cost 80-90 mil. Marquinhos is probably not available at PSG. Saliba, I don't think Arsenal would sell to Liverpool. Guehi, I think there's a lot of links with him at the moment to Liverpool, saying that they've beaten out Newcastle and Chelsea for him, and I think that would be a very good signing. I don't think that was a Van Dijk replacement, don't get me wrong, but I think that one might actually get done. It wouldn't surprise me. But the one position that they're still not linked with, apart from Mendy, is that holding midfielder, which they really wanted in the summer. So whether or not Slot's just got Gravenberch in there now and thinks, okay, we're done there, it remains to be seen, because if he picks up an injury, you're going to have a Rodgers situation like at Man City this season, where do they just fall off because they haven't got a holding mid? Curtis Jones has played there a little bit, McAllister can play there, but they won't be as good as Gravenberch. So, and obviously is Endo going to stay on? It feels like there could be a lot of change this summer at Liverpool. So I don't know if they've done it in the right. We'll find out in the right way, because we'll find out what sort of players Slot wants in the summer now, what sort of transfers he goes after. Because he's had that season of keeping the same squad, working with the players, he's had a year with them, so he knows who he wants and he knows who he doesn't want. And he clearly doesn't want someone like Darwin Núñez around. I don't even think he wants Luis Diaz around, to be honest with you. Which says a lot, because he's been playing up front, but I still don't think he wants him, because he clearly prefers Gakpo on the left wing, which is fair enough. You know, he's been unreal this season for Liverpool. So you come into next season Liverpool with potentially two of your front three changing, your two centre halves changing, and you could potentially Liverpool in in the world could change their entire back four next season, which sounds mental, because I've completely forgot to mention, obviously, Andy Robertson and his replacement, because he's not been the same player this season. Like, he just hasn't been. But I think that's to be expected, you know. He's ran himself into the ground for the last, how many years it is? 7, 8 years? Absolutely ran himself into the ground. So he actually deserves a bit of a rest. And he can still do a job for Liverpool. He can still do a job in some games. He just can't play. He can't play 40 games a season. He can do 20 maybe. So I think they need to go and get someone, and I think the one they'll go and get is Kirkes. I think he's perfect for them. I think if they can't get Kirkes, you're looking at Anthony Robinson at Fulham. But I think Kirkes is the one where he's only 21, I think. I think you have to go and get him. I think you have to go all out, because actually that will be your left back for the next nearly 10 years probably, if you can get Kirkes. And you could bed him into the team by having Robertson, sorry. You could still have him in the squad, bed him in, that'd be perfect. Move on to Mikas, because it's just not worked. And yeah, there's a world where Liverpool have potentially a brand new back four in terms of players, in terms of a starting back four. You know, Conor Bradley coming in. Also they'd buy Huijsen and Gahey, and then Kirkes. Don't get me wrong, that's a very, very good back four. But you cannot gel a back four in one pre-season. So it would definitely be a bedding in process for these players. But that's a very impressive back four if that's the back four they were to go and get. And to be fair, if I'm coming off of having Van Dijk, Trent and Salah, if I've got that back four, I'd be very happy. If I was them though, I'd also be looking at someone like a Van de Ven, potentially, as that left-sided centre-back. I think Tottenham could risk seeing him go this summer, and a couple of maybe like a Kulusevski could move as well. Players that are too good to be playing outside Europe, I think. Van de Ven was a great buy from Spurs, to be honest with you. I think it's been mismanaged by Ange in terms of injuries and how he's played, and I think he could definitely be looking at a summer move if he wants it, that is. And then, so yeah, they could have a 4 out of their back 5 changing over. You could even see technically Alisson moving on, because Mamardashvili is coming in. So there's so many questions around Liverpool and that defence at the moment. The midfield, I think you're not going to see too much change in there. I think you're still going to see Gravenberch. I don't think they're going to go in 6 this summer. I don't think they're going to buy any midfielders, to be honest. I think they're quite content with their midfield options, and that's why he chops and changes a bit. They've got a good range of midfielders in there. If they do maybe get a number 6, I don't know who they would go after, to be honest. I don't see an outstanding candidate right now for them unless it's a Mendy, but it doesn't look like they're going to get that deal done anyway. And then we're looking at the front three, and like I said, you could have 2 of that front three changing. I think Gakpo will be a mainstay in there. I think he'll cement his position as that starting left winger from now on. I definitely think they're going to go after a striker, and if Salah goes, like I said, I haven't really got a scoop who they go and buy. Maybe they give their kid a chance in Bobby Clark. Maybe they go and get like a Mohamed Kudus, like I said. But there isn't an outstanding candidate out there. So it's a big risk for them to play. And I'm going to have a look at it more. But if there is this much upheaval next season, I'd be surprised if you see Liverpool actually competing for the title. So I don't think you can do it with that. I think you have to have a season off to kind of reset and get everyone used to the system. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Liverpool and their transfer strategy and whatever's going on with their contract situation. Thank you guys for coming along today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will speak to you in a bit. Peace.